Chapter 51. Hearing the other party's question, Wu-ming did not answer, but fell into deep thought. What's going on? Not only did Birui know that Wu-ming was looking for someone, but he also suspected that I'm Wu-ming. The people in the theocracy also know, but I just arrived in this world not long ago. Wu-ming looked at the young man who asked the question in front of him. What about you? Who are you? Wu-ming declined the other party's question implicitly. I'm the lead disciple of Dark Scripture in Celian Theocracy. Codename is Dark Scripture, Wu-ming-sama. Seeing the other party bowed politely, Wu-ming spoke again. So, Dark Boy, you know about the vampire near Yolanta, right? Yes, Wu-ming-sama, we found it when we passed by there, and we lost 3 people because of it. Very well, that's my subordinate. Don't you want to explain? Dark Scripture's lead disciple clearly perceived that the other party was constantly exuding a dragon-like pressure to the surroundings. I'm sorry, Wu-ming-sama, because you disappeared for too long, so we don't know much about your new subordinate. Please forgive us. New subordinate? Do I have any old subordinates? Wu-ming's expression did not change at all, but his heart was already in a mess. Okay, then take my blow. As he spoke, Wu-ming took out X silver, meteor silver, from Dragonist, Dragon's Nest, and raised it above his head with one hand. In an instant, a large amount of starlight gathered from the endless blue sky into the sword. Wu-ming-sama, please calm down. The lead disciple shouted nervously at Wu-ming, and the young man's subordinates also picked up their weapons, although they didn't have much effect. At the same time, they also sent a message to the higher-ups of Celian Theocracy. Take this sword that's comparable to supreme magic, and I will leave. With that, the light on the holy sword stopped gathering. Shine. Meteor. X-silver, meteor silver. The dazzling diamond-like starlight instantly drowned out the pitch-black scripture, and also drowned out the tall building in the center of the capital that Wu-ming was aiming at, the main church. A large number of citizens of the Celian cult's capital were temporarily blinded by the bright starlight. A moment later, after the white light, the pitch-black cannon and the large number of theocracy personnel in front of Wu-ming had disappeared. However, Wu-ming did not feel the sacred sword sweeping past them. He assumed that the sacred sword had used a legendary spell. Looking at the dilapidated Syrian church, Wu-ming said calmly, "Can you defend against one of my attacks? Although I didn't use much strength." With that, Wu-ming turned around and prepared to leave the capital of the Celian cult. Due to Wu-ming's deliberate control, other than the street and the church in front of Wu-ming being destroyed, the residential buildings were not damaged at all. As expected, due to the release of my dragon body in advance, the precision of my magic power control has increased by quite a bit. Wu-ming took out Yggdrasil and aimed it at the sky. A green energy began to spread throughout the entire capital of the Celian cult. No matter what, it's because of me that you have all been indirectly blinded. I'm really sorry. A large amount of life force was injected into the bodies of all the citizens in the capital. This should be enough. It's time to go. At that moment, Wu-ming felt that something had locked onto him. Wu-ming turned around and saw a huge light spear flying out from the destroyed church. Wu-ming frowned. He could feel the threat of the light spear, but it was not serious. A world-class tool? A large number of thick trees surged up from the ground and formed a wooden wall. The light spear pierced through the wooden wall layer by layer without any decrease in strength. The light spear completely pierced through the wooden wall and hit Wu-ming directly. The light spear turned into a light film, enveloping Wu-ming, and Wu-ming's body began to disappear. Just when the Celian cult's higher-ups hiding in the ruins of the church relaxed, the light film shattered. The shattered light turned into a little golden light and dissipated into the air. This should be the Holy Slayer's lance. Wu-ming looked at his hand that was not wearing a single ring and smiled. Sure enough, even without a world-class tool, a mere game tool can't destroy me as the root dragon. After all, the adult root dragon's roots and time were its home. How could a mere tool transformed from a game into reality affect Wu-ming? Even if Wu-ming was an underage root dragon, Wu-ming looked at the Celian cult's higher-ups as if he could see through the wall. So here comes the revenge. Wu-ming raised Yggdrasil and wanted to release its real name. At that moment, Wu-ming seemed to hear something and put away Yggdrasil. You're lucky. After saying that, Wu Ming left the capital of Lian cult without looking back, leaving behind a group of confused residents who felt as if they were in a dream, and a group of terrified higher-ups. After Wu Ming left the capital of Lian cult, he immediately moved to the northwest. After tearing the flight scroll, Wu Ming flew into the sky and flew toward the Ristage kingdom. Soon Wu Ming arrived at the sky above the kingdom, but Wu Ming did not stop and continued to move toward the northwest of the kingdom. That was the most northwest country on the continent, known as the Grand Kingdom. It was a country built by the demi-humans, located in the north of the Ristage kingdom, northwest of the continent. It had a long history and strong national power. It was said that there were 5 or 7 dragons as counselors. The reason Wu Ming returned here was because someone had sent a message to Wu Ming through message magic. Come to the Grand Kingdom, partner. I will tell you everything you have doubts about. Wu Ming sensed the message and map left behind by the other party and arrived at a cave. After entering the cave, Wu Ming found a teleportation magic circle in the deepest part of the cave. Wu Ming activated the magic circle. After a flash of white light, Wu Ming found himself in a large palace, as if he had been in the palace of Babylon. And on a huge platform in front of Wu Ming, a huge white dragon was lying on it. Are you the one who called me? The dragon raised its head and looked at Wu Ming. Sure enough, you don't know me at this time, partner. Judging by your tone, we are very close, Wu Ming asked. Ha ha ha, of course, we are partners who have gone through life and death together. No, master. This surprised Wu Ming. Then let me guess, is it because of the time travel magic? As expected of you, partner. According to the you I know, you came from 700 years later. 700 years later? Wu Ming was puzzled. As far as I know, the 6 great gods from 600 years ago, the 8 desires king from 500 years ago, the demon god from 200 years ago, and the 13 heroes should all be transmigrators. The dragon said to Wu Ming. Yes, that's right. You told me that back then. And there were other transmigrators 400 years ago, 300 years ago, and 100 years ago, but their strength and character were inferior, and they were all destroyed by us. Wu Ming looked at the dragon. This is really interesting. What about me? Did I leave? To be precise, you left 100 years ago. Except for the era of the 6 great gods, the 8 desires king, and the 13 heroes when you woke up, the rest of the time you were asleep because you were about to leave your childhood. Oh. Then I'm going to be an adult. Wu Ming was a little excited. After all, the root dragon's childhood was too long ago. The dragon smiled. No, you've entered your youth. That's what you said yourself. For a moment, Wu Ming felt like the world was joking. Let's not talk about this first. Why did you stop me from destroying the silent theocracy? And why did you call me here today? To tell me my future? Unfortunately, you guessed wrong. Neither. There was a smug smile on the dragon's face. It was an expression of, you finally have something you can't guess. I'm going to return the uninscribed book to you today. Chapter 52. Uninscribed incantation book? Wu Ming was puzzled. Yes, this is what you entrusted me to give to you now when I first met you, partner. The dragon opened its mouth, and a glowing sphere flew out of the dragon's mouth. It was a book, a slightly quaint and mysterious book with black and red decorations. Wu Ming looked at the book with some disgust. Will it have your bad breath? The dragon instantly felt powerless. Hurry up and take it, and then hurry up. Really, I'm going to sleep. Wu Ming held the book and watched as the giant dragon lowered its head. It was as if it had fallen asleep, and did not make a sound. What a strange temper, no wonder it sleeps alone in this broken place. When Silent Wonder saw the word, V appear above the dragon's head, he stood on the teleportation array, and left the area. After a while, the dragon raised its head and looked at the teleportation circle where Wu Ming left. What a mysterious master. After that, it fell asleep again. Walking out of the cave, Wu Ming looked at the two of them reading the book in their hands, and he didn't know what they were thinking. By the way, I haven't asked the dragon's name yet. Forget it, let's talk about it later. Anyway, I will definitely meet it again. Portal. Wu Ming directly opened the portal connecting to Nasaric and walked in. The portal's range must be a place he has been to, or a place he has seen, or an image in his mind. Otherwise, it couldn't be used. But in a sense, the portal was also a unique skill. After all, as long as there was an image of that place in his mind, he could teleport at will, which could be regarded as a bug-like skill. Back to the 10th floor of Nasaric. Between the throne in the audience hall. Walking out of the portal, Wu Ming sat on the throne, opened the uninscribed incantation book given by the dragon, and began to read the book. This book would turn to a specific page according to the user's thoughts. That was to say, the user didn't need to turn the pages by himself. Shortly after Wu Ming read it, the door of the audience hall opened. As the door opened, a large number of Nasaric personnel poured into the audience hall. This gave Wu Ming a fright. Lord Wu Ming. Lord Wu Ming, where have you been? Lord Wu Ming, we were very worried about you. Looking at the worried expressions of the guardians, Wu Ming sighed. I'm sorry for going out without telling you. It's my fault for making you worry. Wu Ming's apology made the guardians and the magical creatures they brought in tremble. They quickly knelt on one knee and lowered their heads. How could that be? Lord Wu Ming, we spoke rudely to you, but you didn't punish us. Instead, you apologized to us. This is the fault of us guardians. Please punish us, Lord Wu Ming, Yerbade said. Please punish us, Lord Wu Ming, the other guardians and monsters said in unison. Wu Ming smiled helplessly. These guys were good at everything, but they were too loyal. They couldn't tolerate any disrespect to him. Then our previous mistakes will cancel each other out. Looking at Yerbade, who seemed to want to object, Wu Ming said again, it's settled, no objections. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. So, Wu Ming picked up the uninscribed book in his hand and ordered everyone in front of him. Guardians, gather in the conference room. The rest of you are free to do whatever you want. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. A moment later, in the conference room, Wu Ming sat on the office chair, supporting his head with his right hand on the large desk. Sebastian. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Sebastian bent over and put his hand on his heart. How is the kingdom's situation? Master Wu Ming, the thing that Golden Princess wanted to ask you to do is to eradicate Hachiko, an underground organization that integrates smuggling, drugs, slave trading, assassinations, bodyguards, and other activities. It is said that they have infiltrated the kingdom. After seeing the power of Nasaric, Golden Princess and Rose Tsangwei entrusted me and Annabelle to eliminate Hachiko. They offered a high price, and with your permission, I helped them eliminate Hachiko. Sebastian looked at Wu Ming and said, Actually, Lord Wu Ming, there is one thing I didn't ask for your permission. It's okay, Sebastian, you can say it now. Wu Ming crossed his hands and put them on his chin. I saved a girl during the crusade against Hachiko, and I want to take her back to Nasaric. Oh, did she agree? Wu Ming asked. Yes, Lord Wu Ming, she has no home. Although she still has a younger sister, she doesn't want to remember the past because of psychological reasons. She also asked you to let Qialiai live in Nasaric. I agree, Sebastian, but how about letting her be a maidservant? It's all up to Lord Wu Ming, Sebastian said. That's it. Sebastian, you will convey the message to Qialiai, and at the same time, inform all Nasaric. I now appoint Qialiai as Sebastian's personal maidservant, and at the same time, revoke your position as the captain of the Pleiades star cluster, and let Li Alpha be the acting captain. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Thank you for your generosity, Lord Wu Ming. Sebastian bowed deeply. Also, I'll arrange something for you later. That's all for now. Demiurgos, how are you doing in the Holy Kingdom? Yes, Lord Wu Ming. I set up a farm at the border of the Holy Kingdom. I caught a large number of animals to test the scroll, and the result was very successful. Demiurgos knelt on one knee and said to Wu Ming, Animals? Well, Demiurgos, your demons should be able to see the good and evil in people's hearts. Let go of the good and keep the evil. Understand? Wu Ming thought for a moment, and realized that Demiurgos was talking about animals. After all, Wu Ming never heard of a large number of demonic beasts near the Holy Kingdom. There were only many types of demi-humans. Of course, Lord Wu Ming, because you like humans and good people, I deliberately avoided these people when I caught them. Demiurgos pushed his glasses. Well done, Demiurgos, get up. As a reward, I will give you this. At the moment when Demiurgos got up, Wuming threw the ring of An's Ergong to Demiurgos. This is the ring of An's Ergong. Lord Wuming, this is a supreme treasure that only the Supreme One can wear. How can I? Well, Demiurgos, accept it. This is your reward, understand? Yes. Lord Wuming. I will go through fire and water for Nasrik in the future. Well, y'all, I heard that you found a lizardman village on the way back. Yes. Lord Wuming. Y'all raised his hand and said. Then Cocytus. Yes, Lord. Cocytus exhaled cold air. Although the lizardmen are useless to Nasrik, I want to see your ability, Cocytus. You will go and subdue the lizardmen. Yes. Lord Wuming. I will complete your task. But remember, you and your men don't fight in the first battle. I will send some soldiers to follow you. Only these soldiers can be used in the first battle. Remember? Yes, Lord Wuming. Mayor. Yes. Lord Wuming. Well, you go and cancel Nazarik's external camouflage. I will provide you with a magic array. You can use the magic on this magic array to camouflage Nasarik. After that, Wuming opened the uninscribed book. As Wuming thought, the book turned automatically and stopped at a certain page. High-level item creation. A blueprint with a high-level camouflage magic array appeared in front of Wuming. I'll leave it to you, Mayor. Yes, I will not let Lord Wuming down. Then, Satya. Yes, Lord. Seeing Satya's sad face, Wuming said, I've decided to punish you. Chapter 53. Hearing the punishment, Satya's face lit up. As for the specifics, we'll talk about it later. This confused Satya. Yairabed. Wuming turned to look at Yairabed. Yes, Lord Wuming. Wuming took out another ring of Anziwergong and handed it to Yairabed. Lord Wuming, you. Although he was happy that Wuming gave him the precious ring of Anziwergong, Yairabed was puzzled. After all, he did not make any contributions. I've decided to leave Nasrik temporarily and head to the other world. So, I've decided to give you this ring to manage Nasrik while I'm away. How can that be, Lord Wuming? You should let my protectors lead the way to the other world. Yairabed shouted. That's right, Lord Wuming. It's too dangerous for you to go personally, Demiurgos added. Seeing the worried expressions of the protectors, Wuming smiled. There's no helping it. I'm the only one who can traverse worlds with the staff of Anziwergong. At most, I can bring 1 or 2 people. So, I can only be the vanguard. Of course, that was a lie. The staff of Anziwergong only had the ability to bring people. Traversing worlds was Wuming's ability as the origin dragon. In that case, Lord Wuming should bring me along. As the person with the highest defense in Nasrik, I can definitely protect Lord Wuming, Yairabed said. No, I've already confirmed the number of people. It's Satya and Sebastian. What? Satya and Sebastian were stunned. Then they immediately knelt before Wuming. Your subordinates will do our best to live up to Lord Wuming's expectations and accept this punishment. Both Zaisha and Sebastian treated this as a punishment. Rise, everyone. It's not without reason that I brought Satya and Sebastian along. The reason for bringing Satya along was firstly that Satya's ability was outstanding among the Guardians. She could be said to be one of the best. Secondly, it was to punish her. On the other hand, Sebastian's fighting ability is unparalleled, and his identity as a butler can easily conceal us. After all, I don't really need too much defense. As a root dragon, my defense has always been very high. Although saying this would make Yairabed sad, Wuming really didn't want to bring Yairabed along. Now that you're here, my trip has become a trip to hell. Yairabed and Demiurgos did not speak. Seeing that the 2 think tanks did not speak, the other guardians did not have any intention of speaking either. It's decided then. Also, I'll inform Pandora Yakut to leave the treasury. No one can invade that place. I'll let her play my role while I'm not in Nasrik. If there's anything, Yairabed and Demiurgos can discuss it with Pandora. That's it. The meeting is over. Zaisha and Sebastian will stay behind. The rest of you can leave. Yes, Lord Wuming. Everyone shouted in unison. Before Yerbed, who was the last to leave, left, Wuming said, I hope you can use this ring well. I hope you can make good use of this ring. When I return, I will see a more perfect Nasaric. Just like that, Yerbed left with an excited expression. Wuming exhaled and looked at Zaisha. In that case, Zaisha, you have to be prepared to stay in the staff of Ains Ergong for a long time. Go and prepare your bed. A moment later, Zaisha left the meeting room with an indescribable expression. Sebastian, you might not be able to see Kialiai for a long time. Forgive me for breaking up your reunion with Kialiai, Wuming said apologetically. How could that be? Master Wuming, to be able to serve by your side, let alone a punishment, in my opinion, this is the best reward for me, Sebastian Dean, Sebastian said solemnly. Well, I'll give you some money. Go shopping with Kialiai and buy something. Let her enjoy the days with you first. This is also my greeting to the new member of Nasaric. With that said, Wuming took out a bag of gold coins and put it in front of Sebastian. Thank you very much, Lord Wuming. Sebastian put away the money bag and bowed to Wuming. Go, I'll inform you when it's time to leave. It should be in 5 days. Yes, Lord Wuming. Click. With the sound of the door closing, Wuming was the only one left in the meeting room. Well, it's time to meet Pandora. Teleport. Wuming activated the ability of Anziergong's ring and arrived in front of the treasure vault. Walking into the treasure vault, Wuming came to a room similar to a luxurious living room. On the sofa in this room, a skeleton wearing a gorgeous blue-black mage robe was sitting on it. It was a dead mage. Who will it be this time? Pandora Yakut's race was a double phantom, which was the same race as Annabelle. However, Annabelle's race was only level 1, which meant that she could only transform into one appearance, which was Annabelle's current appearance. Pandora Yakon's race ability was level 41, which meant she could transform into 41 appearances. Because of Pandora's special skill, the appearance Pandora transformed into could have 80% of the original's ability. Pandora's current appearance was one of Anziergong's 41 players, and Pandora's 41 targets were Anziergong's 41 players. If she wanted to transform into another person, she had to give up one of the 41 players she had cloned. However, Wuming asked for a spell to make up for the double phantom transformation ability in the uninscribed spell book. Using a special spell to record the character's information that had been cloned and save it on a special paper, so that the character's transformation ability could be transferred from one's own skill to a special container, and then continue to copy other characters' information to transform into that person's appearance. Wu Ming, on the other hand, had already prepared the special paper. Oh, Lord Wuming, welcome. The appearance of the dead great magician in front of him gradually changed, turning into a strange humanoid with completely white skin, wearing a German military uniform and a military cap. He had no facial features. In the position of the facial features, there were some holes as the representation of the facial features. Pandora, I have something to tell you. After briefly explaining Wuming's idea, and the special paper Wuming took out, Pandora instantly understood. Understood. Lord Wuming, leave it to me, I will turn you into a hero. Don't worry. Looking at Pandora, who was performing a German military salute, Wuming was a little helpless. Don't act like you're a real hero. Try not to interact with others. It's best if you're unpredictable. I'll pass on the memories and conversations of acquaintances to you. Do your best. I know you can do it. In Nasaric, your wisdom is no less than Demiurgo's. Understood. Lord Wuming. Looking at Pandora, who was making a strange sound and performing a military salute, Wuming couldn't help but think. Am I doing the right thing? Chapter 54. After telling Pandora everything, Wuming left the treasury. Back in the conference room, Wuming decided to read the uninscribed book more. After all, it will automatically record the magic of the world. After reading the book in the conference room for a few days, Wuming closed the book and stretched. I'm so tired. Although I don't have to eat, I still have to sleep. With that said, Wuming used the ring of Ains Wugong to go to his bedroom. Lying on the bed, Ming recalled everything he did in this world. I'll tell them the truth. I'm not the Supreme Lord they used to be loyal to. After all, Ming also indirectly deceived the Guardians. Even if the Guardians didn't care, Ming still felt uncomfortable. After all, I'm the root dragon. How can I do such a thing? It's a disgrace to my bloodline. After thinking about it, Ming shook his head again. Of course not. If I tell them the truth, with their sense of justice, they might take revenge on the Supreme Lord who abandoned them. Well, I still have to think about it carefully. After a while, Ming's door was knocked. Come in. Sorry to disturb you, Ming-sama. The succubus in a white dress walked into Ming's bedroom. Belle, what are you doing here? In short, Ming still couldn't deal with this crazy woman. It's like this, Ming-sama, because of your actions in this world. The Guardians and I have specially provided you with some items that may be useful. Belle stretched out her hand, and a dark purple ripple appeared in the air. That ripple can be understood as a backpack, which was the storage space for items in the game. Belle took out a backpack from it. The moment she took it out, Ming recognized it. It was an infinite backpack. Ming took it and checked the items in the bag. Really? I've already taken some useful items from Nazarik's treasure vault. Let's do this. Ming took out some items that he didn't have or didn't have the same effect as Belle. He opened a golden hole in the air and put those items inside. As for the remaining items in the infinite backpack, Ming threw them back to Belle. That golden ripple was an extension of Ming's Space Noble artifact, Dragonist, Dragon's Nest. Previously, Ming could access items from Dragonist in an instant, but it wasn't suitable for storing or retrieving a large number of items. Therefore, Ming learned the Guardian's skill of opening backpack and developed this skill. I'll take some items that don't have the same effect as me. You can divide the rest among the Guardians, or the anti-theft treasure vault. Anyway, I won't touch it again. Ming waved his hand and said somewhat willfully. Yes. Ming-sama, Belle was taken aback at first, then she showed a smile. Well then, I'll take my leave first, Ming-sama. When Belle was about to leave, Ming stopped Belle. Wait a minute, Belle. I have a question. Ming said awkwardly. What's the matter, Ming-sama? Is there a problem that I, as your subordinate, can solve? Belle looked at Ming. If, and I'm saying if, I'm not the Supreme Venerable you served before, but just a Supreme Venerable who came in after the other Supreme Venerables left. What do you think? Ming asked a little guiltily. Faced with this question, Ming thought Belle would say something like, that's impossible. What does it matter, Ming-sama? Looking at Belle's smiling face, Ming was a little overwhelmed. According to Belle's words, she already knew. Whether you are the Supreme Venerable we served before or not, it doesn't matter. In the end, you were the one who accompanied us into the other world. You were the one who accompanied us and protected us. When everyone was afraid of coming to the other world, you were the one who guided us in the front. Belle walked in front of Ming and touched Ming's face. You shouldn't think about this problem. You just need to move forward, because we will only choose to follow you forever. There was a moment of silence in the bedroom. Do the other Guardians know? Ming asked. Yes, Lord Ming. Demiugos and I were the first to guess. The other Guardians were also told by Demiugos and I during the Guardians meeting. They all said that whether Lord Ming is the Supreme Venerable or not, the one who is accompanying us now is that Lord. Only by doing our best for that Lord can we repay that Lord's kindness towards us. That's what they said. Is that so? Let's not talk about how you and Demiugos came to this conclusion, but I hope you don't resent the other Supreme Venerables. After all, they will never have the chance to return to Nasarik. Yes, I promise you, my beloved Lord Ming. Then can you explain why you took off your clothes? Belle. Ming looked at Belle, who was taking off his clothes, and shouted hysterically. Of course, I'm taking advantage of the atmosphere to take down Lord Ming. How can I let go of such a good atmosphere? Lord Ming. Belle returned to his infatuated expression. Really? You've ruined such a rare atmosphere. Get out of my way. Wu-ming opened his palm, and silver chains bound Bell. What is this? Damn it, don't disturb me and Lord Wu-ming's happiness. Wu-ming smiled as he looked at Bell, who was struggling on the ground, but was unable to break free. No matter what, it's still a noble artifact. Just stay here obediently. Once the magic power of this skylock is exhausted, it will automatically disappear. That's it, goodbye. Wait. Lord Wu-ming. After that, Wu-ming used the ring of Anziwergong to teleport out of the bedroom, leaving only Bell, who was crying. On the 9th floor corridor, Wu-ming walked and muttered to himself. Seriously, to think that I was so vexed. In the end, all the guardians know about it. Sigh. As he walked, Wu-ming found himself in the corridor of the conference room. Demiugos? Wu-ming saw Demiugos standing in front of the conference room, looking at who he was talking to. Wu-ming speculated that Demiugos was using message magic to communicate. And Demiugos seemed to be too focused. He didn't notice Wu-ming's arrival for the time being, until Wu-ming stood behind Demiugos. Lord Wu-ming, I'm so sorry, I didn't notice your arrival, Wu-ming said as he looked at Demiugos, who was kneeling on one knee. It's okay, Demiugos, I don't blame you, including the conversation between you and Cositas just now. I'm so sorry, Lord Wu-ming. Your intention was to let Cositas understand by himself. I really shouldn't have said that. Demiugos lowered his head even more. It's okay, Demiugos, I said I won't blame you. Come in with me, Wu-ming said as he opened the door of the conference room. After Wu-ming went in, Demiugos followed. Chapter 55. Wu-ming sat on the office chair and looked at Demiugos standing in front of the desk. I know, Demiugos, you can understand my thoughts, and I am very satisfied with your way of helping your companions, so you don't have to blame yourself. Thank you for your magnanimity, Wu-ming-sama. Demiugos bowed. So, how is Cositas's progress? Wu-ming asked. Cositas has just finished his first attack, and there is no doubt that he was defeated. Well, I think so too. After all, the soldiers I gave to Cositas were all mindless soldiers that were automatically produced by Nasaric. If they could win, I would be surprised by the lizardman's strength. Wu-ming continued. Demiugos, tell Cositas that I want to watch the battle between him and the lizardmen. He is allowed to fight, but only one person can fight. Yes, Master Wu-ming-sama. Demiugos began to use message to contact Cositas. When he was free, Wu-ming stretched out his hand and took out the staff of Anziwergong from the golden ripple. Remote perspective mirror. It was a special intelligence magic that could see the scene in the distance, and it could penetrate some anti-intelligence magic. Master Wu-ming-sama, I have already informed Cositas. Well, sit down and watch together. Yes. Soon Cositas won. After all, those lizardmen were not even level 50. How could they win against Cositas, a level 100 warrior? I'm going to the scene to see. Do you want to come, Demiugos? It's my pleasure, Master Wu-ming-sama. Portal. The black and red ripple door opened, and Wu-ming and Demiugos walked in. Wu-ming came to Cositas's side and looked at the few lizardmen's bodies on the scene. Wu-ming praised. It's a wise choice. After all, when they knew that the other party wanted to subdue their race, they didn't need to send out all of their combatants because if all of them died, it would be a disaster for their race. Sir Wu-ming. When Cositas saw that it was Wu-ming, he knelt down on one knee. Well done, Cositas. Thank you for your praise, Lord Wu-ming. Since we've conquered the lizard men, it's time for us to return. After saying that, Wu-ming wanted to leave. Lord Wu-ming, I have a request. Wu-ming looked in astonishment at Cositas, who was kneeling on one knee and bowing his head. Say it. If it's not a big problem, I'll agree to it. Thank you, Lord Wu-ming. I would like to request that you revive the lizard men. Oh, may I know why? Because they are all warriors with some strength. I think they can serve Nasaric. Don't you think this reason is far-fetched, Cositas? After saying that, Wu-ming didn't look at Cositas, who had his head bowed, but looked at Demiugos, who was beside him. Wu-ming's meaning was very simple. Demiugos asked Cositas to ask for help from Wu-ming. Demiurgos immediately understood and shook his head lightly. Wuming understood and reached his hand into the golden ripples. He took out a short staff with an emerald head and an ivory body and threw it to Cocytus. If you're not careful, your head will fall off. With that, a few insect shadows appeared beside Kaji and Clementine. They were level 85 monsters called 8-limb assassin bugs. They were responsible for Wuming's safety in Nasarek. At this moment, the front blades of these 8-limb assassin bugs were placed on Kaji and Clementine's necks without any blind spots. What? When? Hey! Then Wuming said to the side. Shadow demon, capture them. With that, Wuming's shadow flashed, and a shadow rushed toward Kaji and Clementine. In an instant, the shadow covered the two. Wuming didn't even look and left. Anyway, Demiurgos would take care of it. It's about time to leave Nasarek and go to the other world. I'll leave tomorrow morning. With this thought, Wuming left the surface of the tomb in Nasarek. Then, Demiurgos appeared where Wuming was standing before. Demiurgos pushed up his glasses. Send them to the House of Reality in the 5th level, Ice Prison. Let Nihilus take good care of them. With that, he left like Wuming. A moment later, the 8-limb assassin bugs and the shadow demon also disappeared. Only the empty spirit hall was left on the surface. Chapter 56. Wuming gave his final instructions and left with Satya and Sebastian the next day. Under the effect of the staff of Anzirgong, Satya and Sebastian were sent into the space of the staff of Anzirgong by Wuming and fell into a deep slumber. After transforming into his dragon form, Wuming entered the space-time tunnel. Wuming kept flying in the space-time tunnel. Looking at the light spots in the tunnel, Wuming could not help but recall his previous transmigrations. When he transmigrated to the country of Shadow, Wuming was not familiar with the structure of the space-time tunnel and was sucked in. After that, Britain was summoned by Merlin. It could be said that Wuming had tricked himself. After that, he transmigrated again because of Morgan Le Fay's curse, causing Wuming to leave that era and enter the space-time tunnel. Entering ancient Babylon was caused by the crazy Wuming wantonly destroying the space-time tunnel, which was caused by external factors. The alternate world where Nasarek was located was brought in by Wuming's curiosity. Therefore, strictly speaking, Wuming could be considered to have transmigrated on his own initiative, and was not as passive as before. Just as Wuming was thinking, a light spot flickered not far ahead. As if they had a telepathic connection, Wuming subconsciously nodded. The space-time door opened. Wuming tilted his head and thought for a while before plunging in. Then the space-time door closed. Wuming felt as if he had returned to his mother's embrace. His entire body was filled with warmth. Wuming had the thought of falling asleep again. However, this thought was not serious. After resisting his sleepiness, Wuming opened his eyes. At this moment, Wuming was in his human form in an indescribable substance. It was like water, gas, and fog. In short, these substances gave Wuming a chaotic feeling. However, it made Wuming feel very comfortable. Is this the root? Wuming had guessed correctly. This was the root of the M-shaped moon world. The shining light spot from before was just a resonance between the M-shaped moon world and Wuming. Because of this resonance, Wuming opened the space-time door subconsciously. Then, how do I get out? After all, even if the root was Wuming's home, this home was too big. Moreover, Wuming had never been to this home before. He left this home after he was born. Do I have to stay here until I can enter and leave the root on my own? This feels good. The root is home as the root is the root's bloodline. Just as Wuming was thinking, he seemed to have received some news. It was as if someone was talking to him. Wuming opened his eyes wide in surprise. Are you for real? I don't mind. If I were to sleep here, I would have nothing to do. Wait. With that, Wuming transformed into his dragon form and fell asleep. The dream had begun. An ordinary village, a group of ordinary farmers, a group of ordinary playmates, and an ordinary war. Wuming seemed to have turned into a baby and was born in this village called Dong Remy. As if he was watching a movie, Wuming realized that time was passing by quickly. In the blink of an eye, Wu Ming was already 16 years old. However, the memories of these 16 years were still intact in Wu Ming's mind. Just now. What was that? 16 years of memories. That's unbelievable. Wu Ming now felt like he was watching a movie. He could only watch what he was doing and couldn't interfere with it. However, this body was indeed his. No matter what this body said or did, it was Wu Ming himself. Is this the process of falsifying an identity? Sigh. The restraining force acted too fast. I told you to wait. That's right. In the root, Wu Ming received the restraining force's greeting. Because Wu Ming signed a contract when he was born, but because he was immediately sent away from the Type Moon world, Wu Ming did not leave any traces in the Type Moon world. Although Wu Ming left his traces in the ancient Celtic, ancient British, and ancient Babylonian worlds, it was not because of the two restraining forces in the Type Moon world, but because Wu Ming joined it himself. Therefore, the planet's consciousness, Gaia, and the human consciousness, Alaya, created a new identity for Wu Ming to achieve his ultimate goal, heroic spirit. In this way, Wu Ming's main body was sleeping in the vortex of the root, absorbing the power of the root. Wu Ming's intention was to enter the heroic spirit palace prepared for Wu Ming by the restraining force to form a heroic spirit. However, Wu Ming had the right to leave the heroic spirit palace. After all, when they signed the contract, they signed an equal contract, so Wu Ming did not have to worry about being trapped in the heroic spirit palace. Besides, the heroic spirit palace could not trap the root dragon. Of course, it was an adult. The scene changed. The country Wu Ming was in was troubled by war for a long time. A girl who had a good relationship with Wu Ming came to chat with Wu Ming. Cedric, you really are here. Looking at his blonde childhood sweetheart, Wu Ming said. Wu Ming put his hands behind his head, lying on a piece of hay, and said uninterestedly, "Ah, what's wrong, Jahan? Why don't you pray for the Lord's arrival and listen to the voice of the Lord? Why are you looking for a lazy false believer like me?" That's right, in this village, Wu Ming was arranged to be a believer of the Lord because of the persecution of the war. Well, don't say that, Cedric, I have something to tell you. Wu Ming sat up from the ground. Say it, I'm your childhood sweetheart. Jihan blushed a little. She sat next to Wu Ming and hugged her knees with both hands. Actually, I heard the voice of the Lord. Wu Ming didn't say anything. The Lord said, "Why do people fight?" Wu Ming still didn't say anything. The Lord told me, I can stop this dispute. I want to stop this war. Wu Ming still didn't say anything. It's just a little scared. Is my ability enough? Let's do it together. The girl named Jihan looked at Wu Ming in surprise. I don't feel safe letting a village girl like you go to the battlefield. Since we used to take a bath together, I'll protect you. Wu Ming smiled at Jihan, showing his white teeth. What are you talking about? We took a bath when we were very young, it doesn't count. Jihan blushed. How can it not count? Jihan, are you going to abandon me? I'm prepared to marry you when I grow up. Wu Ming showed a smug smile. What? I'm not ready yet. No. No. The girl struggled to get up and ran into the distance. As Wu Ming laughed, the girl hid under a tree and put her hands over her heart. After the war, I can consider it. Chapter 57. After that, the boy and the girl left the village and headed for an important city in France. After a long and dangerous journey, the boy and the girl became a member of the army. The girl got the command of the army because God's revelation was verified. With the help of the boy's wisdom and advice, the girl won one battle after another. In the end, even without the boy, the girl kept winning. And because of the boy's outstanding military talent and powerful force, soon, his status in the army rose and caught up with the girl. In this way, King Charles VII, who was helped by the girl and the boy, divided the French army into two parts and gave them to the boy and the girl. In this way, in less than 2 years, most of the invaders were driven out of France by the efforts of the boy and the girl. The people called the boy Celestial General Cedric, and the girl Saint Joan. And when the invaders were driven out, the girl was captured and slandered as a witch. The British authorities decided to execute the girl in Rouen, France, by burning her at the stake. After the boy failed to get the support of the French nobles and the king, he left the army and went to rescue the girl alone. When the boy came to the execution ground, the girl was already deep in the sea of fire, and the boy directly rushed into the sea of fire and hugged the girl. In the end, the boy and the girl were burned together. Only then did France manage to drive out all the invaders from England. The French king conferred the title of a general to commemorate the boy's achievements. And the girl, after being slandered as a witch, was canonized as a saint in Vatican City hundreds of years later. At this moment, the boy opened his eyes with tears in his martyr's palace. Jehan. As if it was just a moment ago, Wu Ming's eyes were still filled with tears. As if it was a long time ago, Wu Ming's eyes were full of confusion. Seriously, if you want to make history a mere figurehead, then so be it. Why did you give me such an annoying identity? Wu Ming wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. I said before that I won't cry anymore, but I cried again, ha, Wu Ming laughed at himself. But I heard the last sentence clearly, Jehan. All right, let's see if there's any place where I need to be summoned. Wu Ming sat on his seat in the martyr's palace and closed his eyes to sense the surroundings. This could be considered Wu Ming's privilege. Other heroic spirits could only be summoned passively, but Wu Ming could choose to take the initiative. As for Wu Ming, he only needed an opportunity to appear on his own. Lord, Wu Ming opened his eyes. Yes, that's Jehan's voice. Since he didn't need to pay attention to the heroic spirit's body in the Valhalla, Wu Ming prepared to directly descend his consciousness into the servant's body. Wu Ming's body began to glow. Then, as if he had fallen asleep, Wu Ming closed his eyes. In a certain cemetery, there was a middle-aged man with 3 scars on his face. His name was Lion Jieli. He was a magician and was holding a ceremony. Thy body shall be my life, and my fate shall be thy sword. In accordance with the Holy Grail's request, if you are willing to abide by this principle, then respond. I hereby swear. I am the one who becomes all the good in the world. I am the one who suppresses all the evil in the world. Thou, bound by the 3 spirits of words for 7 days, will of self-restraint come forth. Guardian of Libra. The magic formation in front of him produced a large amount of storms that constantly impacted everything around him. Lion Jieli raised his arms to cover his eyes and head. After a while, the smoke slowly dispersed, revealing the person standing in the magic formation. A knight wearing a white armor with red patterns and holding a red magic sword stood there. The knight's helmet began to disintegrate and scattered around the armor like a machine, revealing a pretty face with a single golden ponytail. There was an unruly smile on her pretty face. I ask you, are you my master? However, Lion Jieli in front of the female knight didn't speak. Instead, he looked at her with a shocked expression. The female knight was a little puzzled and looked at Lion Jieli fiercely. Hey, say something. Bastard. He is surprised that he can summon 2 servants at once, Mordred. What? A voice came from behind Mordred. Mordred didn't seem to know that there was someone behind her. She hurriedly jumped away and raised the magic sword in her hand. You are? How is that possible? As if she saw an incredible existence, Mordred cried out in surprise. Wu Ming was wearing a silver-white armor. He followed Mordred's example and opened up his dragon head helmet. Long time no see, Mordred. To Wu Ming's surprise, Mordred was summoned in this Holy Grail war, and she was with him. No, it should be. I followed Mordred here. So that's how it is. That opportunity is you, little Mordred. Don't give me such a disgusting name. What the hell is going on? Villothoranced. Although Mordred's tone was still bad, she put down the weapon in her hand. What? Is this the Villo Knight known as the Silver Dragon of Britain? Lion Jieli on the side was very surprised. No, master, I summoned Sodric Villo Ste as a saber. Huh? Sodric? Are you kidding me? Mordred obviously didn't believe it. Could it be that the legend of Heavenly Commander Sodlek is true? Jie said. What is the legend, master? Mordred asked. Lion Jieli swallowed and looked at Wu Ming nervously. Legend has it that the young Sodlek, who joined the army together with Joan of Arc, became the highest-ranking general in France in less than 2 years with his innate martial prowess and strategic command ability. He was loved and respected by the French people. But Lion Jieli didn't dare to say it. After all, if the person in front of him was really Sadric, it would be taboo. No problem, master, please continue. Afterward, Lion Jieli continued. Before joining the army, Sadric was ambushed by the British royal family. In the Alps, he battled with the demonic dragon transformed from the legendary silver dragon of Britain, Vero Sealanthud. Sadric killed the demonic dragon with his bravery and intellect. He obtained the armor and weapons of the demonic dragon's guardian, and bathed in the dragon's blood. His physical strength was greatly enhanced, and he could block sharp weapons with his body. However, at some point in time, rumors began to circulate among the people that Sadric had been possessed by a demonic dragon, and that his body had been taken over. That's why Sadric was burned together with Joan of Arc, who was sentenced to be the saintess at that time. Huh? Are you serious? Hey, who are you? Mordred shouted at Wu Ming. Of course I am me, Mordred. Villo is me, Sadric is me, and the demon dragon is me. Wu Ming's eyes were glowing red, looking at Mordred and Lion Jieli. Lion Jieli suddenly regretted using the round table fragment as a holy relic to summon. Looking at the situation, he might die before seeing the black servant. Chapter 58. Mordred protected Liu Jieli and pointed her sword at Wu Ming with both hands. Wu Ming looked at the two with a smile. Both sides were on the verge of fighting. Then Wu Ming spoke. Okay, I'm kidding. After all, the magician behind you is not only your master, but also my master. Speaking of this, Lion Jieli realized that the other party had also been calling him master all this time. Looking at his hand, Lion Jieli exclaimed in surprise. Are you for real? I actually have 6 command incantations. Wu Ming and Mordred both looked at Liu Jieli's hand. Liu Jieli's left and right hands had a red pattern similar to blood clots. Each pattern was composed of 3 lines, and the thickness and shape of each line were different. That is the command seal. Normally, there should only be 3 command incantations, but having 6 command incantations meant that Jie Jieli had 2 servants. Well, for the time being, just think of me as a reincarnated Villo Knight. That's it, please advise me, master. And you can perceive the connection between us, can't you, Mordred? Yes. Mordred didn't say anything, but she was very unhappy. After removing the sword and armor in a very unhappy manner, he turned around and said to Jie Jieli, My real name is Mordred. Nice to meet you, master. Then Wu Ming also officially reported his name. My real name is Sodlek. Please take care of me, master. Please advise me, my name is Liu Jieli. Liu Jieli said helplessly. Let's not talk about the 2 servants you summoned. You actually summoned a knight of the round table in this place. Are you a necromancer? Mordred crossed her arms and said with a look of disgust. Yes, my childhood was accompanied by corpses. Speaking of which, King Arthur's son Mordred is actually a girl. Hey! Master, you'd better not say that word, otherwise, I don't know what Mordred will do. Wu Ming interrupted Liu Jieli. Looking at Mordred, who was looking at him coldly, Liu Jieli swallowed his saliva. I know. So what is your wish? Liu Jieli first looked at Mordred. Of course I want to challenge you to pull out that sword, but I think with my qualifications, I will definitely pull it out. Mordred said with a proud face. How is that possible? Wu Ming accidentally laughed. What did you say? Villo. Believe it or not, I'll kill you. After saying that, Mordred was about to condense a sword and slash at Wu Ming. The position of king has already been decided. Mordred, it doesn't mean that just because you have the right to be king, you can pick her up. Jie Jieli on the side. Why do you say that? You also know that I was a knight during King Yosef's time. As the strongest knight at that time, King Yosef naturally told me about the next king. Wu Ming looked at Liu Jieli, then looked at Mordred and continued. To be precise, even if I tried to pull out the sword, I could pull it out. The reason why I couldn't pull it out was because Merlin cast a spell, making everyone who tried to pull it out at that time unable to do so. Only my king could pull it out. Hearing this, Leo Gielli was dumbfounded. What? It was Merlin who interfered. Mordred expressed that she was very angry. However, to pull out that sword, having the qualifications of a king is the most important thing. At that time in Camelot, other than my king and me, no one else had the qualifications of a king. However, if you win the Holy Grail, you can try. Mordred, I have to tell you, you are not inferior to my king. My king didn't accept you because she knew you couldn't bear the fate of Britain. These words caused Mordred to fall into silence. Then, as the first knight of King Arthur, the Vilo, and as the general of France in the 100 Years' War, what do you wish for? Leo Gielli asked. Wu Ming smiled. I participated in the Holy Grail War this time because I have something to do with a servant, so strictly speaking, I don't have a wish. Ha! Leo Gielli cried out in surprise. After all, in Leo Gielli's view, whether it was the Knight Vilo or the General of France, they were all tragic figures. The former became a demonic dragon because of the curse of the Black Magician and was sealed. The latter was slandered by the British royal family and was rumored to be a demonic dragon. In the end, he was burned to death with Joan of Arc. Therefore, in Leo Gielli's view, it was a bit unrealistic for Wu Ming to say that he had no wish. Well, after all, I haven't died, so I don't have any wish that can be fulfilled with the Holy Grail. What? Leo Gielli looked at Wu Ming in surprise. This time, even Mordred looked at Wu Ming with a surprised face. After all, it was strange to become a heroic spirit without dying. Well, after all, I'm not a human, so I didn't die. I'll tell you this story when I have the chance in the future. Shouldn't we go and meet the other Red Masters first? Yes, the supervisor of the Holy Church and the Red Master sent me a message before, asking me to go to a church somewhere to find him. Then let's go, Master. In this way, under Mordred's complaint and Leo Gielli's helpless expression, the three of them began to move toward the designated location. Sighisoara, Romania, a small church on a mountain. Leo Gielli walked in alone. Wu Ming and Mordred both turned into spirits and followed behind Leo Gielli. After entering the church, the first thing he saw was a white-haired young priest. The agreed place is here, right? Did you call me here? Although it was a question, it was a tone of certainty. The priest heard someone come in and turned his head. Nice to meet you. I'm Shiro Kotomine. White hair, dark skin, a black priest's outfit, a cross ornament hanging on his chest. This was a person who, whether it was his voice or his personality, would give people a feeling of peace. I'm Leo Gielli. I'll skip the self-introduction. Well then, the servants around you are a bit abnormal. Did you find Cedric? Leo Gielli thought. Wu Ming told Leo Gielli that he just followed Mordred to the world. It was also because of his own skills, so he didn't need Leo Gielli to provide much magic power. He just needed to maintain the contract. After all, without a contract, the servants couldn't appear. The servant I summoned is a little special. Forgive me for my lack of manners. Of course, no problem. This is also your privacy. Mordred, who noticed that something was wrong, removed her spirit form and revealed her body in full armor. Through the contract, Mordred sent a message to Leo Gielli. Annoying aura, let me be like this for the time being. Leo Gielli looked at Mordred and didn't speak. Wu Ming also appeared. He was clad in white full body armor, a helmet that resembled a dragon's head, and a cape that was used as a decoration. He gave off a rather reliable feeling. Wu Ming and Mordred stood on the left and right side of Leo Gielli. Then, I'll come out here too, Fengshiro said. A woman in black clothes who looked very sinister appeared behind Fengshiro. This sinister woman was also a servant. I'm Assassin, my real name is Semiramis. She gave Wu Ming a feeling of seeing Morgan Le Fay. Immediately, Fengshiro and Leo Gielli sat on the chair in the church and began a short conversation. After that, Leo Gielli said that he wanted to act alone. So you're not going to act with other masters? Are you not used to group battles? Fengshiro asked. Ah yes, and I have enough power here, so I'm not going to act with you, Leo Gielli said calmly. After that, Leo Gielli got up and walked toward the door. I wish you a prosperous martial arts, Mr. Leo Gielli. Leo Jelly opened the door and walked out. Thank you for your blessing. Pung dash. The door closed. Chapter 59. After walking out of the church, Wuming and Mordred entered spirit form. How is it? Did he chase after us? Leo Jelly asked. No, but you can rest assured because this guy is super strong. Mordred conveyed her words to Leo Jelly through the contract. You really think highly of me, Mordred, Wuming teased. Although I don't want to admit it, if this guy still has the power of a knight, we will win this Holy Grail war, Master. Oh, although I know that King Arthur's first knight is really powerful, Saber. Is Sodric really that strong? After all, from the conversation with Leo Jelly, he knew that the number of times the knight Villo in King Arthur's history was not many, and he was basically the commander. Of course, Master. This guy can be said to be in existence that even my father may not be able to defeat. Although I don't want to admit it, the Villo is indeed the strongest in Britain. Looking at Leo Jelly's shocked expression, Wuming said. Well, let's not talk about the combat power first. After all, I came as the French General Sodric, so it is inevitable that there will be some differences in ability. Is that so? Then this name is a problem. Both of you are Saber. Master, please call me General. General? That sounds like the French word for general, right? All right, I'll call Sodlek General from now on, and Mordred Saber. Why? I also want a different name. Sure enough, Mordred is still a child, Wuming thought. Let's not talk about this first. Why don't you stay, Master? Mordred asked. Leo Jelly was stunned, then said, Didn't you two not want to stay? The minority obeys the majority, so let's leave. After all, he's a servant with Queen Mother's aura, which means he's not someone you can trust. Mordred said angrily. Mordred is right. Semiramis is not inferior to Morgan Le Fay in terms of methods, intelligence, and ruthlessness. It was because of Morgan Le Fay's scheme that I revealed my true form. So, General, your true identity is a dragon. Leo Jelly was a little surprised. Yes, Mordred, you should know that King Yusef and Merlin once summoned the legendary dragon, and that was me. No way. Are you for real? That legendary dragon that has never appeared before is you. Mordred couldn't remain calm anymore. Of course, after I transformed back into a dragon, due to Morgan Le Fay's curse, I, who was unable to transform into a human, was corrected by history and brought away from that era. That's true. As a top-level fantasy breed dragon, it should be impossible to live in King Arthur's era, unless it's a sub-dragon or something like that. Leo Jelly touched his chin and analyzed. After all, Wuming's dragon form was mysterious in that era where the gods had passed away, so it was naturally excluded by the era. Unfortunately, Wuming was the root dragon, so the era couldn't do anything to Wuming at all. If the summoning time hadn't been shortened by Morgan Le Fay, Wuming wouldn't have to leave at all. Well, you guys can think of it as that. Wuming said embarrassedly. Just like that, while the three of them were talking, Jelly the lion took the two servants and left the church. In the church, Fengshiro Yanfeng and Semiramis began their discussion. It seems like we've been alerted, Master. It's not my fault. Semiramis laughed. If the other party has two servants, it's not easy to get rid of them. Semiramis cheerfully said something that no one could understand. After all, Jie Jelly was the master of the red team. Yet he actually thought of ambushing his own people. The other party is also pursuing the Holy Grail, and is now on our side. Besides, even if it's an ambush, it's unlikely to succeed. Fengshiro said with a warm attitude. I didn't expect the other party to summon two servants. Let's not talk about the possibility. Does he have a way to provide magic? After all, the magic supply of two servants is not something that anyone can control. Semiramis said. Maybe it's a miracle. After all, the Holy Grail War is not short of miracles. The young man said. Then Semiramis continued to ask, Did you see the other party's real name, Master? Yes, I saw the real name of one of the servants. The other servant has a hidden noble artifact or skill. Oh, then what's the real name that you identified, Msader? Sodric, the general known as the Divine Warrior in the 100 Years' War between England and France. Oh, if it's that one, we can't act rashly. Semiramis said. That's right. I saw the special ability of the servant named Sodric, Mystic Dragon. It seems that the slander of the world has become a curse that accompanies this general who saved the nation. Well, it seems that we have to finish the courtyard quickly. The ritual should be completed in a day or two, right? Well, of course, at this moment. A brown-haired bearded man dressed in a greenish-brown British costume with a cape draped over his left shoulder shouted as he barged in. Horse. Give me a horse. I will exchange my whole kingdom for it. What are you doing? Castor. That was Semiramis who was scared. Oh, the Empress of Assyria. So what are you doing here? The berserker went berserk. What? On the other side, because Wu Ming said that he was going to find the servant he was looking for. He separated from Jieli and Mordred with his own skill. Really, why did you say I have solo action, so I'll leave first? You think you're so great just because you have solo action? Mordred, who was in spirit form, was wearing a pair of shorts, leather boots, a bra that barely covered her breasts, and a red jacket. She was walking with a displeased expression on her face. Don't say that. After all, it's General's wish. Besides, aren't you wearing the clothes that you really want to wear? Jieli walked beside Mordred and observed the surrounding terrain. We are in the enemy's base and no one is ambushing us. After that, there were a few people in the shadow in front of them. They were cyborgs that looked basically the same. Behind the cyborgs stood several large stone golems. Not only in front, but there were also enemies on the roof and behind them. Ha ha ha, as expected of my master. You even used yourself as bait. Mordred patted Jieli's back and laughed happily. Ahem. I'll leave the golems to you, and the cyborgs to me, okay? Jieli coughed a few times. Of course. Chapter 60. At night. After separating from Leo and Mordred, Wu Ming embarked on a journey to find Joan of Arc. I always feel that there's something wrong with that priest, as if he saw through me. Wu Ming walked on the road, thinking about what happened in the church just now. Forget it, the most important thing now is to find Jean. She must have appeared as the ruler. Since it's a daily routine, she will definitely come here, Tulifas. What I need to do now is to set up some detection magic. Wu Ming couldn't help but show a proud smile. Fortunately, Dragonis also descended into this body as a noble phantasm. After finding a hidden place, Wu Ming opened Golden Ripple, reached into his hand, and took out a large number of scrolls. I remember Yarel, and the others gave me a scroll with reverse detection magic. Sure enough, after picking and choosing for a while, Wu Ming found the scrolls. That kind of scroll could block the opponent's detection magic, which was the so-called false eye with the ability to see through the truth. Wu Ming planned to set up that kind of scroll in many places. Well, although there are many skills in the game that can detect this kind of magic, I believe that unless it's a servant's special skill, it's impossible for a magician to detect this kind of magic. Then, Wu Ming began to run all over Tulifas. Fortunately, Wu Ming had the skill magic, otherwise, it would be unrealistic to set up those scrolls in one night. After all, the servant's body also limited some of Wu Ming's skills. For example, Wu Ming forgot all the skills related to Lune's magic. The reason why he didn't forget the magic in Yggdrasil was because those magic were not the products of the moon world. And the servant's body couldn't make them forget. Although it's interesting, the servant's body is really inconvenient. After all, Wu Ming was not a dead hero. Being able to walk in the world again was a rare benefit for those heroes. Who would care about forgetting their skills because of their class? Ha! Is Master and Mordred done? Just as Wu Ming was setting up the magic scroll, he detected that Jieli and Mordred were ambushed by the Yugamirene side. However, this ambush was only a probing attack by the cyborgs and the marionettes. Right now, Jieli and Mordred were heading towards Wu Ming. Wu Ming sat on a big tree and looked up at the starry sky, waiting for Jieli and Mordred. The starry sky in Nasric time is still the best. That's why, as long as we win the battle, it's fine even if we have to use our teeth. This was Mordred. Where did you come from, Berserker? Seriously. This was Lion Jieli. Yo, did you have fun, Saber? Wu Ming jumped down from the tree and waved at Mordred. How could it be fun? Those magic puppets can't even take a beating. Mordred shrugged. Looks like it's a test by the other side. Well, General, have you found the servant you're looking for? Is she really not a member of the black side? Jelly asked. Not yet. But didn't I say that she will only become a ruler, not a servant of both sides? Wu Ming said. It better be true. If she's not a ruler but a black servant, I will definitely beat her until she pisses her pants. Mordred turned her head away fiercely. Actually, I've been curious for a long time. I remember in King Arthur's legend, Mordred and the Villo had a good relationship. Before Lion Jieli could finish speaking, a crimson-red scarlet thunder demon sword was pressed against his neck. Who would have a good relationship with him? Be careful if you keep talking nonsense. I know, put down the sword first. Jieli said embarrassedly. Hearing this, Mordred put down the sword. Ha 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 ha, you're right, master. Mordred and I have a good relationship. As for why Mordred is so mean to me, it's just a matter of bloodline. Wu Ming smiled and patted Jieli's back. It was rare that Mordred didn't refute. She just turned her head away. Seeing this, Jieli knew that it must be another story, so he didn't ask anything more. Well, where are you going next? Wu Ming asked. Back to the stronghold to rest. What about you? Do you want to continue looking for the ruler? Of course, then that's it. If there's anything, contact me through the contract. After that, Wu Ming's spirit body disappeared. Let's go, Saber. I know. On the other side, Wu Ming and Jieli just separated from Mordred, and Wu Ming received the news of Jieli. Oh, the red berserker went berserk? He's coming here, so is he going to attack the black team's base? As expected of a berserker. What are you going to do? Jieli asked. You tell the priest, I'll go and see, Wu Ming said. Understood. After that, Jieli cut off the connection. Wu Ming, on the other hand, went to the direction that Lion Jieli said to meet up with the Red Archer and Red Rider, who came to support the Red Berserker. In the forest near the Yugdamarinia's castle, a tall man wearing prisoner restraining iron armor was constantly moving forward. He let out a terrifying laugh as he spoke. Ha 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 ha, oppressor! Oppressor! On the tree behind him, there were only two figures, a man and a woman. The woman wore a green-brown dress with black garter socks, long green hair to her waist, beast ears on her head, and a beast tail behind her. The man wore a Greek-style light warrior suit, a red scarf fluttering behind him, green short straight hair fluttering in the wind, and a wisp of bangs fluttering in front of his forehead. It wasn't until the Red Berserker was temporarily intercepted by the enemy's golem that the two began to talk. You think you can only abandon him, Ryder? You think it's strange that you can persuade him, big sister? My name is Atlanta, don't call me big sister, Achilles, the woman who claimed to be Atlanta said. This is just a more intimate name, don't mind it. In this regard, the person called Achilles just smiled. Then Achilles stopped laughing and said, Since there's a chance, let's see those guys from the black team. Well, but if this guy uses noble phantasm, retreat immediately, Atlanta said. Understood, Achilles said. You are Red Archer and Red Rider. Suddenly, a voice came from behind the two. Chapter 61. Who is it? Achilles shouted and instantly condensed a cross spear and stabbed backward. Atlanta also drew her bow and aimed at Wu Ming, who was behind Achilles. Sorry, I came here without telling you. I hope I didn't scare you. Wu Ming held the spear that Achilles stabbed with one hand and raised the other hand as if he was waving. You are Saber on our side? After all, Fengshiro had previously informed the two through the contract that there would be a saber coming to them. As for why he said it as if there were other red sabers, Achilles and Atlanta didn't care anymore. Well, it's the first time we met. I'm Sodric, summoning with the saber profession. I'm Atlanta, summoning with the archer profession. I'm Achilles, summoning with the rider profession. I didn't expect you to be saber. I thought you were assassin, Achilles said with some pride. So, what's the situation now? Wu Ming didn't care and asked the two. As you can see, Berserker is still crazy, Achilles said. I remember that Berserker's real name is Spartacus, worthy of the famous rebel. Looking at the crazy appearance, Wuming couldn't help but sigh. By the way, have you seen your master? Achilles ignored Wuming and asked Atlanta. No, I've only seen Semiramis and his master the priest. Me too. The circuits are connected, and the order has been issued, but I don't see the person. This is considered abnormal. Achilles looked at his hand and felt the connection of the magic circuits and said so. It makes sense that the magician is hiding, but it makes people feel that he is timid, Atlanta said indifferently. Saber, where is your master? Achilles asked. My master didn't move with the other masters. We moved alone, so there wasn't any abnormal situation like yours. My master, on the other hand, looks like a fiend, but surprisingly he's not a bad guy. Wuming waved his hand. Is that so? Then the three of them didn't say anything. After a while, after Spartacus defeated these blocking puppets, a black servant appeared in front of them. That doesn't seem to be a lancer. Is it a rider? Both of our riders like close combat. Wuming looked at Achilles, who condensed a cross spear. Of course, I prefer to carry a spear myself than riding a chariot on the battlefield. Achilles said with a smile. That's a pity, I don't like war. Wuming said. Here. It. Atlanta interrupted the conversation between the two. The black rider raised his spear, and seemed to have released his real name. It passed through Spartacus' leg, and Spartacus' leg was forcibly spiritualized. Immediately afterward, the black rider's master and servant came over, led by a green-haired middle-aged man riding a horse. Is that Vlad III? Wuming said lightly. This was what Wuming learned from the exchange of intelligence between Liu Jiejie and Yanfeng Shiro. Ah, it should be right, Atlanta said. The black rider raised his hand, and a large amount of enchanted soil wrapped around Spartacus, and then several spikes penetrated Spartacus. At this point, the red rider's berserker was captured by the black rider. It seemed that the other side didn't have the intention to attack together. They only sent two servants who hadn't fought before to attack Wuming's position. One for each of us, rider. Wuming took out the meteor silver from the ripple, and used magic to manifest the silver armor, and said to Achilles, Well, really they only sent two servants, they really don't put me in their eyes, Achilles sneered. Then I'll cover you from the rear, Atlanta said. Well, I'll leave it to you, Archer. It can't be helped, big sister. With that, Wuming and Achilles walked to the tree in front of them, and looked at the black rider's servants. Is it Saber and Berserker? Achilles said. One of them was a silver-haired man wearing black and silver armor, and holding a long sword. The other was a pink-haired girl wearing a wedding dress, and holding a hammer. Achilles just wanted to say something, but Wuming suddenly rushed forward and rushed to the black rider's saber, swordsman. Hey, you can't be like this, that's the opponent I want. Achilles complained. Wuming didn't know if he heard it or not, but at this moment, he had already started a hand-to-hand battle with the black rider's saber, swordsman. Maybe because of Wuming's fierce attack, the black rider's saber had been retreating. What's wrong, black rider? Is this all you can do? The black rider didn't speak, but he kept waving his sword. This feeling. Is this a special attack? When Wuming fought with the black rider, he felt that the other side had a sense of restraint. Wuming quickly hit the black rider's saber swordsman back a distance. Then an arrow penetrated the atmosphere and hit the black rider's body, nailing it to the big tree behind him. It was an arrow shot by the red rider's archer. Oh, hearing the sound, Wuming looked at Achilles and found that he was injured by the black rider. Achilles was a hero in the Trojan War, and had many noble phantoms. Because Achilles was burned by the heavenly fire after he was born, soaked in the river Styx, he obtained an immortal body. Therefore, if you want to hurt him, you must have divinity or god-killing weapons. From this point of view, the black rider's archer was a follower related to God. The black rider's berserker, went to fight against Atlanta. When Wuming looked at the black rider's saber again, he raised the big sword in his hand, as if he was going to release his noble phantoms. The big sword began to emit light. It looks like a special attack against the dragon's noble phantoms. Wuming felt a sense of threat from it, although it was not big. Is your master in such a hurry to let you release your noble phantoms? Then come on. Although the other party was attacking the dragon's noble phantoms, Wuming's root dragon was not a simple dragon, so the noble phantoms that attacked the dragon's noble phantoms did not have much effect on Wuming. However, Wuming did not dare to exaggerate. He posed and prepared to release his noble phantoms. Just when Wuming thought that the other party was going to release his noble phantoms, the other party suddenly knelt on the ground like a broken string, and the light of his noble phantoms disappeared. Then, the Black Rider's saber spiritualized and left. Is there an internal conflict? It was obvious that the other party was interrupted by another command spell. There was no doubt that there were internal disagreements. After noticing that Atlanta had also retreated, Wuming knew that this time's test was almost over. Ignoring Achilles, who was declaring war with the Black Rider, Wuming also disappeared in his spiritual form. This was because the detection magic he set up had found the person Wuming was looking for. On the way Wuming was looking for Jean, on the other side of the forest, the Black Rider who had left early was leading a brown-haired, red-eyed android out of the forest. Jean, on the other hand, came to the place where the Red and Black Riders were fighting and began to investigate. At this moment, a revelation came. Cedric. Jean recalled the person who appeared in the scene just now in surprise. It was obvious that this was her childhood sweetheart, Cedric. Jean put down the puppet fragment in her hand and began to run on the other side of the forest. Chapter 62. On Wuming's side, as if they were discovered, the surrounding soil gathered and formed golems, surrounding the Black Rider and the android, including Wuming. Really, I shouldn't have followed you guys. AI. Red Saber. Why are you here? Are you here to help us? The rider from the black team naturally voiced his doubts. Wuming didn't know what to say. He just waved his sword gently. The dexterous sword energy destroyed the golems surrounding the three people. Wuming turned to look at the Black Rider and the android. He saw the hope of survival in the eyes of the android. Wuming smiled. For this kind of guy who resisted fate, Wuming didn't hate Wuming. Wuming reached out, opened the ripple, and took out a bag from it. This was not an infinite backpack, just an ordinary bag. Wuming had to admit the advantages of game items. The collision damage of the outside world would not affect the things in the bag in the slightest. It would only reduce the durability. If the durability became 0, the bag would disappear. After filling more than a dozen bottles of red potions, Wuming threw the bag and a magic scroll to the Black Rider. After a moment of confusion, the Black Rider caught the bag and scroll. What is this? He asked. There is a potion in the bag to heal this android. The scroll is a magic that can temporarily block the perception of the command curse. No, it's a magic item. Take this android and leave quickly. A servant is coming. Wuming said lightly. Oh, you are a good man. My name is Astolfo. What about you? Wuming said in his heart. No wonder. Astolfo, one of the 12 warriors of Charlemagne, was a rational person. He looked at the other party's outfit. The upper body was okay, a light night outfit, a fluffy cloak, but the lower body was a short skirt, suspenders and long night boots. As expected of a rational person. I'm an enemy servant. Is it okay for you to tell me your real name? Wuming joked. As if he just realized something, the servant named Astolfo smiled nervously and awkwardly. My real name is Cedric, a French general. Just call me that for now. Wuming looked at Astolfo helplessly. Not bad, don't you think? Astolfo looked at the androids. The androids didn't come back to their senses. After all, if they didn't hear it wrong, the servant in front of them gave Astolfo a potion to heal him. Yes, the android said tiredly. At this moment, a pot-bellied middle-aged man with a black saber caught up from behind. Stop! The middle-aged man shouted. Then he lowered his head and panted heavily with his hands on his knees. Damn it! Why did you send me to do this kind of task? Gold didn't realize Wuming's existence. It wasn't until he saw his servant holding a sword and looking ahead vigilantly that he noticed Wuming's existence. Red servant, why are you here? This Gold seemed to be frightened, and he quickly ordered his servant. Quick, Siegfried, take him down. It could be seen that the master's spirit has been greatly stimulated, and he directly exposed his servant's real name. Is that so, Siegfried? No wonder I have a bad feeling. I'm Sodric, the other saber of the red team. Nice to meet you. The bad feeling that Wu Ming said was the effect of the dragon's special attack. After all, Wu Ming had the dragon attribute, coupled with Sodric's skill, Magic Dragon EX. It was inevitable that he would feel uncomfortable facing Siegfried. What? Another saber? But the one from before is also saber. Why do you have two sabers? Gold exclaimed. Wu Ming knew that Gold was talking about Mordred, but he didn't say anything and said to Gold, "Don't worry, after tonight, I won't participate in the battle between the red team and the black team. I'm an extra servant summoned by the red team, so let me fight with you for the time being." In that case, we'll go first, bye, Astolfo said and began to run to the other side with the cyborgs. What? No, wait. Wu Ming waved his sword in front of Gold, which suddenly scared him. Just stay there obediently. Although I won't attack the masters, I hope that you'll stay there obediently. Damn it. In that case, there's no need to worry. Ziegfeld, go. He yelled hysterically. Siegfried flew forward, holding his sword, and slashed at Wu Ming. Clang! Wu Ming took out his meteor silver and blocked Siegfried's demon sword. The same silver-white sword, a holy sword and a demon sword, constantly collided with each other like a hurricane. That caused Gold to be sent flying. His head hit a tree, and he fainted. Because of the presence of the master, Siegfried didn't fight too much with Wu Ming, and he paid attention to stay away from the master. Although Wu Ming wouldn't take the initiative to attack other masters, he didn't care about that. Because Siegfried couldn't go all out, but because Siegfried had the attribute of the dragon's special attack, the two were tied for the time being. With a feint, Wu Ming and Siegfried moved away and stood facing each other. You're really like a machine. This sentence made Siegfried's expression waver. The reason why Wu Ming compared Siegfried to a machine was not because Siegfried didn't know how to think, but because Wu Ming could see that Siegfried didn't have any desires. Coupled with the story of Siegfried in the Nibelungen route, Wu Ming said that Siegfried was like a machine. You're a hero. Don't you have anything you want to do? Even if you're a machine, you should have a wish. Wu Ming held his sword with one hand and put the other hand on his waist. Siegfried didn't speak, because he didn't know what he wanted to do. Just then, Astolfo came back with the android he took away. Not good. Sodric. He's dying, what should we do? Astolfo held the android who was constantly coughing up blood and had fainted, and asked Wu Ming anxiously, "Are you an idiot? Didn't I give you the potion to treat him? Forget it, let me take a look." With that, Wu Ming walked towards the two. As he walked, Wu Ming glanced at Siegfried. Think about it. What do you really want to do? What I want to do, my wish, is to make my own decision to do something. Siegfried muttered. Wu Ming took out a bottle of potion from the golden ripples and poured it all into the android's mouth. The android's body instantly emitted a green light. It seems that the potion is effective, but it only treats the symptoms and not the root cause. Wu Ming touched his chin. But this was only temporary. This android had a defect in his body, which caused the blood vessels in his body to rupture and bleed. The potion only temporarily treated the injuries in his body. What do you mean, Sodric? Astolfo asked. It means that he won't live long, and it's very likely that he will face the crisis of death every day. After all, this is the racial defect of the androids. The one who caused the injury to the android was himself. This was the racial defect of the androids, which made them unable to survive outside the incubator. After all, the healing potion couldn't eliminate the racial defect. Then what can you do? Astolfo looked at Wu Ming with tears in his eyes. Wu Ming turned his head away helplessly. Unless I change his race, I can't do anything about it. If only I was summoned as a caster. If Wu Ming was summoned as a caster, he could use the uninscribed book and the staff of Anzi-Wergen. Although Wu Ming could also use the uninscribed book as a saber, he couldn't use high-level magic because of his rank. It was just like in the game Yggdrasil. There was a sorcerer who used Perfect Warrior to equip the sorcerer's equipment, but as a result he couldn't use the sorcerer's skills and items. Wu Ming's items were all game items. In addition to the racial conversion items, There were healing potions in the game for injuries, detoxification items for poisons, and holy items for curses, but many of those items couldn't be used by his current rank. Apart from those items, Wuming didn't have any items to remedy racial defects. After all, racial defects were common in the game, and customer service wouldn't specifically prepare items to overcome racial defects for a certain race. Just like Satya's vampire race, Satya had all the weaknesses of vampires, but those weaknesses were all weakened or protected by item effects, and they couldn't be eliminated completely. Although there were androids in Nasarek, the androids in the game had no defects. In this regard, Wuming couldn't do anything about it. You can try the power of the Holy Grail, or ask its creator. I think if it's the one who made it, there should be a way to prolong its life. At that moment, Joan of Arc, who Wuming was looking for, came here. Chapter 63. Jean stood on a stone and watched all of this. After seeing Wuming, Jean said in a trembling voice, "Sadrik, is it really you?" "Yo Jean," Wuming waved at Jean and smiled. A gust of wind blew, and Jean flew over and hugged Wuming tightly. "Sadrik, Jean buried her head in Wuming's arms, crying, wanting to say something, but she didn't know what to say. Wuming also hugged Jean tightly. At this moment no one spoke. After a while, Astolfo raised his hand and said, Don't hug him, he's dying." Hearing this, Wuming and Jean hurriedly separated. Jean's face was red, and she turned her head away in embarrassment. Wuming looked at Astolfo fiercely, but Wuming also knew the severity of the situation, and didn't mean to blame Astolfo. "I have a way to save him." At this moment, Siegfried spoke. "You have a way?" As far as Wuming knew, Siegfried didn't have any life-saving items in Song of the Nibelungen, so Wuming asked. Yes, I have a way." With that said, Siegfried put his hand in front of himself. Wuming and others knew what Siegfried was going to do at this moment, and they didn't say anything. Only Jean said, "Please wait a minute. You can't, Siegfried." With Jean's character and her identity as the supervisor of the Holy Grail War, she won't let Siegfried choose this path. Joan of Arc sincerely cared about the masters and servants of the Holy Grail War. But Siegfried didn't want to listen to Jean. He inserted his hand into his abdomen above his abdomen, avoided the ribs, and took out his heart. "This is my wish to help him, with my own will." Siegfried took his heart, placed it on the android's chest, and pushed it into his body. When the heart entered the body, it was like an object entering the water surface, causing ripples. "Please, Sadrik." Siegfried disappeared like a hero. Soon, the android with Siegfried's heart woke up. This is... His red eyes were full of confusion, and he looked at Wuming, Jean, and Astolfo with confused eyes. "You are saved. Siegfried gave you his heart, and now your body has become a normal person." After hearing this sentence, he touched his chest uncertainly, then said very slowly, I live. "Yes, now you just need to give yourself a name. I will take care of the rest for you. Fong Xian," Wuming said sincerely to him. Later, Siegfried left Siegfried's heart, Siegfried, and the android with Siegfried left leaving the unconscious Gfried. Soon someone found the unconscious Gfried and took him away. Tulifa's Myrenia Citadel. There were many figures gathered in the hall, some were servants and some were masters. Vlad III, who had met Wuming once, was sitting on the throne, and next to him stood the team leader of Yugdamarinia, Danik Priestone Yugdamarinia. This was a young man who looked like he was in his 20s or 30s, but in fact he had lived for nearly 100 years. He had purple pupils and long dark green hair tied into a ponytail with a black hairband. He was wearing a black and white uniform of the Yugdamarinia race and a white cloak. He looked at Gfried, who was devastated, and said, "So, what the hell is going on, Gfried Majik Yugdamarinia? Why did Saber disappear?" I don't know. I was in a coma. Why did this happen?" Gfried seemed to be devastated, and he couldn't speak properly. At this time, Blackcaster said, "I extracted a trace of the image from the magic crystals on the scene. Can you play it, Avisprin?" Vlad III asked. "Yes." A voice without a trace of emotion came from under Avisprin's mask. Through the magic projection, everyone saw an incomplete picture, but they already knew the specific reason for Saber's disappearance. I didn't expect Saber to choose to give up her life for the sake of that android. Black Berserker Frankenstein's master, Kals Fulvig said. In short, the current situation is very unfavorable for us. Although we captured the Red Berserker, we lost Saber, our strongest combat power, Assassin is out of control, and Rider has defected. The Red team may also know about our situation, Avisbrand said. So, how about using the command spell to recall Rider? Kals asked. It's useless. Rider's magical power is under the bonus of Noble Phantasm. Even if we use the command spell, there will be 2 of them. It's not worth it at all, Black Rider's master, Selenikai Esker Yugdamarinia said. I will personally look for Rider. Please rest assured, Patriarch. Okay. Fried, do you have any information about the 2 sabers of the Red team? Titanic asked. He didn't have much hope, he just wanted to ask. The result was beyond his expectations. Yes, there is information. There are 2 red sabers, and the servant who fought against Ziegfeld before is called Sodlek. Oh, the famous French general, the hero of the nation. Vlad III was obviously interested in Sodlek, who was also a hero of the nation. And he also said, he is an additional servant summoned, and he said that after tonight, he will no longer be our enemy. Fried said nervously. What does that mean? Kals wondered. It seems that Sodlek's identity is a bit special, but in any case, we have to be prepared. Just like that, in the first night of the short confrontation, the black and red sides ended with both sides suffering losses. On the other side, Wu Mingjin and Astolfo brought the android named Ziegfeld to a warm-hearted farmer's house. Then Astolfo, I'll leave Ziegfeld to you. Okay, leave it to me. Astolfo raised his hand and smiled happily. Remember to use the scroll I gave you. It can temporarily block the connection between you and your master, but remember not to get close to your master, or you will be discovered. Yes. Then Wu Ming looked at Ziegfeld again. Ziegfeld, now is the time for you to think about how to live in the future. After all, you already have the lifespan of a normal person. I don't know. Ziegfeld shook his head. He, who was born as a magic supply, didn't know what to do at the moment, he just wanted to live. Then think about it. No matter what you do, don't go against your heart, follow the guidance of your heart. Goodbye, Ziegfeld, Astolfo. After that, Wu Ming turned and looked at Jean. The 2 smiled and left side by side. Chapter 64. Wu Ming and Jean walked one after the other on the ground illuminated by the moonlight. Logically speaking, with their intimate relationship, they should be able to talk about everything. However, neither of them spoke at the moment. They just walked quietly and enjoyed a moment of peace. Sodric, what is your wish to participate in the Holy Grail War? After a moment of silence, Jean took the lead to speak. Don't you know me, Jean? I don't have any wish. Wu Ming turned around and smiled at Jean. I came to the Holy Grail War to find you. Is that so? Jean was a little overwhelmed at the moment. Although she was a perfect saintess in front of others, whenever she was alone with her childhood sweetheart, she would become the village girl she was when she was a child. Looking at the confused Jean, Wu Ming smiled and touched her face. I still remember what you said before we were burned to death. Jean froze for a moment, then remembered something. Her cheeks that were touched by Wu Ming became flushed. Wu Ming looked at Jean, who was already incoherent, smiled, took her hand, and began to walk forward. While walking, he said, Well, I know you want to give everything to the Lord now. Know that. I don't mean to go back on my words. Jean lowered her voice. If Wu Ming didn't listen carefully, he wouldn't have heard it. So, when you fulfill your promise to me, then you can give your all to the Lord. Jean was a little overwhelmed. She promised Wu Ming to marry her before, but now both of them have become servants, so marriage is impossible. And Wu Ming asked to fulfill his promise before letting her go. That is to say, yes, I decided to hold your hand all the time and not let go. although Wuming was a scumbag when he said that. Thinking about Artoria, Gilgamesh, and Enkidu in the hands of Wuming's original body, well, Maeve didn't count. Wuming only treated her as a little sister. Yes, she was his younger sister. Actually, Gilgamesh and Enkidu could be considered daughters, and only Artoria could be counted as one. However, because Artoria had become a queen, she could no longer be with Wuming. In that case, he wasn't really a scumbag. Wuming didn't notice that Jean's gaze on him had changed. Why do I feel like you were a scumbag just now? Alas! The adorable saintess actually called him a scum. Was there a mistake? How could that be? It's wrong to think that way. Jean, by the way, you were summoned by the Holy Grail as a ruler. Is there anything unusual? Wuming laughed and changed the topic. Well, I originally thought that you were the anomaly this time, but after meeting you, I found that the anomaly hasn't been solved yet. There are other anomalies in this Holy Grail war. Jean replied seriously. If there really is an abnormality, then I think the Red Party Master is an abnormality. My master and I have met a priest before. He is the supervisor of this Holy Grail war and the Red Party Master. However, whether it is me, my master, or Mordred, we all feel that there is something wrong with that priest. Is that so, Soderlek? Where is your master now? I want to ask in person. Jean thought for a while, and asked Wuming. He is not in Tulifas now. He was entrusted by the Magic Association to deal with the recent serial killings. Wuming shook his head. If that's the case, then okay. He will be back in a few days. For now, go on a date with me, Jean. Alas! Alas! Early the next morning, Wuming took Jean, who had changed into casual clothes, to walk around the town. Because Jean was in the form of a physical body, Jean could not spiritualize, and had the functions of a normal person, such as eating and sleeping. If Jean did not eat and sleep, it would make her tired, so Wuming forced Jean, whose face was red, to stay in a hotel for the night. Of course, they booked 2 rooms. In terms of money, Wuming took out a few gold coins and exchanged them for some money. Wuming and Jean walked on the street, and strolled around casually. Feeling Jean's resentful eyes, Wuming smiled. Really, Soderlek, you're making fun of me again. Well, you think too much. Stare dash. Okay, I'll treat you to something to eat. Okay, then I'll forgive you. As expected, Jean is still Jean, she hasn't changed at all. Did you say something? Why would I? Let's go, the taste of this shop is not bad. I've been here with my master before. Then I'll try the food you recommended, Soderlek. Jean smiled sweetly at Wuming, then turned and walked into the shop. Wuming froze for a moment, then recovered. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. Really, I was fooled by you, Jean. Wuming and Jean had a very pleasant breakfast. During this process, Wuming and Jean did not realize that the two of them seemed to have returned to the age of 16, before they joined the army. The two of them were immersed in this happy time. But now it was the time of the Holy Grail War. After a while, Wuming received a message from Leo. General, are you in Tulifas now? Yes, what's wrong, Master? The serial killings were done by Black Assassin. We couldn't get rid of him. It seems to be some kind of skill or noble artifact. Saber and I can't remember any information about Black Assassin. We only know that he's Jack the Rifleman. I see, Fog Knight's man-killer fiend. Then I can understand why you can't remember the information. Then Wuming also had a short confrontation with Black's archer and his master. Saber and Black Archer were both injured. The other side retreated. What about Mordred? She's fine, right? After all, Wuming and Mordred had some relationship. It's not a big deal. I've already healed Saber. Also, Father Shiro knows that I'm going to launch an attack on Black tonight. We might be late. If possible, help Red. Sorry, Master. I've already found the person I'm looking for. I've decided to stay neutral. Sigh. So sudden. Well, I won't force you. I'll rush back as soon as possible. Then you can enjoy your peaceful days in the modern world. Ha, Master. You're so gentle, but don't worry. I'll try my best not to interfere in the war between Black and Red. Forget it, do as you please, that's it. Lion Jieli disconnected the communication with Wuming. Sodric, are you going to give up on the Holy Grail? Jean asked worriedly. My goal has been achieved. Plus I was summoned by cheating. As the ruler, you definitely won't allow me to participate in the Holy Grail War anymore, right? That's true. Looking at Jean's worried expression, Wuming took Jean's hand. Let's not worry about that for now. They'll only fight at night anyway. You can just be a village girl and go on a date with me during the day. Wait. Just like that, Wuming and Jean had a pleasant date. And on the other side, after dinner, Sieg sat in the courtyard in a daze. Yo, what are you thinking about, Sieg? Astolfo jumped out from behind Sieg. Hey, can I sit next to you? Astolfo, who had already sat down, asked. You've already sat down, Sieg said, somewhat at a loss. So, what are you worried about? Astolfo smiled awkwardly. I'm thinking about what Cedric said to me. Sieg withdrew his gaze from Astolfo and continued to stare blankly. That sentence, don't go against your heart. Follow the direction your heart points to, Astolfo said with his finger on his cheek. As expected of the general who saved France, then Astolfo smiled sweetly at Sieg. Yes, he's a hero. So, what are you thinking, Sieg? Hearing this, Sieg looked at Astolfo, then touched his chest, feeling the beating of his heart. Chapter 65. I want to save my compatriots, those androids, Sieg said seriously. Then let's go. Astolfo smiled and pulled Sieg up. Hey, but you will be discovered by your master. Sieg didn't want Astolfo to return to his master's side, because Astolfo had been complaining about how bad his master was and how perverted he was. It's okay, and I'm still a servant of the black side. Let's go and observe when the red side and the black side start fighting. When the time comes, I'll go and support the black side, and you can go and save your compatriots. What do you think? Sieg looked at Astolfo's smile and couldn't help but smile. Yes. Ryder, I'll leave it to you. Oh, leave it to me. In this way, as if fate was playing tricks on them, when the two saw a huge sky castle flying to the grassland in front of Damarinia's fortress, they decided that the red side and the black side would fight, and they took action. And Wuming accompanied Joan of Arc to wait for the beginning of the war. Wuming and Joan of Arc stood on the side of the grassland, looking at the huge fortress floating in the air. That's the Sky Garden? Joan of Arc's skill real name break played a role, and she was surprised to shout out the real name of the noble phantasm. This is really an ill-fated relationship, Wuming said. Although it was not from the same period, it was a Babylonian building after all, and Wuming couldn't help but feel a little emotional. The red side's master must be there. Let's find a way to enter. Joan of Arc was about to start moving. Wait, Rena. Wuming reached out and pulled Joan of Arc's hair braid. Joan of Arc screamed and knelt on the ground. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Wuming looked at Joan of Arc, who was kneeling on the ground with tears in her eyes, and quickly apologized and stretched out his hand to help Joan of Arc up. Really, Wuming, you are still so rough, can't you be gentle? Joan of Arc grabbed Wuming's hand and stood up. Cough. Do you have a way to get to the space garden? Wuming quickly changed the topic. Jean blushed and stopped talking. She was too anxious just now. She didn't even think about how to enter the sky garden in the sky. It's still the same as before. Wuming smiled helplessly and took out a wing-shaped pendant from the golden ripples. Here, take this. Wuming reached out and handed it to Joan of Arc. After Jean took it, she checked the pendant's effect with true name detection. It can actually allow people to gain the ability to fly, and all they need to do is chant the incantation. Even ordinary people can use it. Jean couldn't believe it. After all, no matter how convenient this kind of magic item was, it would not be separated from magic power. This item could be used by ordinary people without magic power. How could Jean not be surprised? After all, this was a game. There would definitely be items that didn't cost anything. For example, this pendant that allowed players to fly in the game. That was a high-level item that President Anziwagong got at a high price. It didn't cost any magic power or EXP to use. Well, this is one of the treasures that the Mystic Dragon was guarding after I defeated him. Wuming used his suppression power to create an interface for him. What about you, won't you go with me? Jean asked. Well, because there is only one, I won't go. That was the truth. There was only one pendant. Although Wu Ming could use high-level item creation to create another one, Wu Ming still couldn't use that skill because of the restriction of his class. It seems that caster is more suitable for me, Wu Ming thought. Well, then I'll go by myself. You be careful. Also, don't participate in the battle between the two sides, understand? Jean said to Wu Ming quite seriously. Yes. My saintess, this one understands, Wu Ming playfully replied to Joan of Arc. Really, Jean's cheeks blushed, and she didn't care about Wu Ming anymore. Wearing the pendant, she said the spell fly, that Wu Ming told her, and her body floated. Wow, I'm really flying. After a short adaptation, Jean said to Wu Ming, then I'll go first. Okay. They didn't talk too much because they trusted each other. After watching Jean fly away, Wu Ming said rather bored. So, what should I do now? Watch the battle. With that thought in mind, Wu Ming found a big stone and sat down. Watching the two sides began to march. The soldiers of the red side were the dragon teeth that fell from the sky garden. Except for the head that looked like a broken skull, it was no different from Nazarik's skeleton soldiers. Looking at the black side, as Wu Ming expected, it was a large group of androids and golems. Looking at the androids, Wu Ming thought of Sieg again. I don't know how Sieg and Astolfo are doing, but with Sieg's temperament, he might return to Milnia City to save his compatriots. Speaking of Sieg, Wu Ming couldn't help but think of Sieg Fei. Ah, I didn't expect the Dragon Slayer hero Sieg Fei to be such a person. Speaking of which, when I fought with Sieg Fei, I always felt uncomfortable. It felt like I was fighting with my natural enemy. Is it because Sieg Fei is a Dragon Slayer? Wu Ming couldn't help but think of when he fought with Sieg Fei. There was always a special force that passed to Wu Ming. Although it didn't affect Wu Ming much, he still felt uncomfortable. At that moment, a large number of ripples appeared in front of the sky garden, and countless arrows were shot out from it, directly hitting the androids and golems. Is that the red side archer's noble phantasm? Although the damage of each arrow is not high, it's hard to say if it's stacked. Then, a large number of green electric currents hit the arrow formation and scattered it. Is it another noble phantasm? Immediately afterward, a large number of iron pillars pierced the corresponding number of Dragonfang soldiers. That's Vlad III's noble phantasm, right? As expected of the Impaler Duke. Then, Wu Ming found that the red side Lancer and Vlad III were fighting. One moment the iron pillars pierced, the next moment the flames danced. Those two were fighting very well. Sure enough, for these heroes, I'm still too inexperienced. Wu Ming couldn't help but think of his master, Skaha. Although I didn't fall behind the skills taught by my master, I don't have what a hero should have. It couldn't be helped. Wu Ming, as the root dragon, was born extraordinary. Before the dragon transformation, his skin could be said to be indestructible because of the dragon scales, and after the dragon transformation he could resist EX-level noble phantasms. He also had almost unlimited mana. In any case, Silent Wonder had never run out of mana. In fact, he had never even used up 1/3 of his mana. The racial characteristic of time and space basically had no effect on Wu Ming, and he could freely travel through time and space tunnels. Furthermore, he had the ability to sublimate a relic. Imagine if Wu Ming could sublimate hundreds or thousands of grade A offensive relic and release his real name at the same time. Since he had sufficient mana, the scene would be inhumane. That was the power of Wu Ming's root dragon when it was still underage. If it was an adult root dragon, it would be unimaginable. At that moment, Wu Ming saw Astolfo riding an eagle on the battlefield. Seeing that he said something to Vlad III, who had just separated from the Red Lancer, Astolfo flew toward the sky garden with a happy look on his face. Could it be? Sieg really came back to save those androids? Wu Ming couldn't help but think. Chapter 66. Sieg and Astolfo began to take action after seeing the battle between the two sides. Rider, be sure to come back safely. Sieg looked at Astolfo and said. Astolfo nodded heavily, and then rode the eagle hidden in space. Hippogriff. With the cry of an eagle, A creature with the upper body of a griffin and the lower body of a horse flew over. Astolfo leaped up and landed on the eagle's back. Then I'll go first, Astolfo waved his hand, and the eagle flapped its wings and flew into the sky. Sieg, on the other hand, went to Malnia Fortress to rescue his compatriots. After seeing Astolfo, Wuming realized that Sieg might also go to Malnia Fortress, so he also got up and went. As for what Joan of Arc said about not doing anything to hinder the Holy Grail War, he would do it anyway. Anyway, Joan of Arc would definitely not punish him. Wuming thought so and rushed to Malnia Fortress. When he arrived at the gate of the fortress, Wuming saw Sieg treating the injured androids. It seemed that the androids were persuaded by Sieg, and were constantly treating their companions. Wuming stepped forward without hesitation and said, "Yo, Sieg." Sieg heard someone calling him and looked back. "Mr. Solderlake, why are you here?" The rest of the androids picked up their weapons and pointed at Wuming. Only then did Sieg remember that Wuming was still a Red Team follower. Naturally, his purpose for coming to Black Fortress was different. "Don't worry, I have already left the Holy Grail War, and I won't attack you. Put down your weapons, and even if I want to attack, you can't resist at all." After saying that, Wuming also looked at Sieg, asking him to explain. "Everyone, put down your weapons first. Mr. Solderlake has helped me before, and I believe that he will not lie to us." After thinking for a while, the androids put down their weapons. "When I saw Astolfo on the battlefield, I guessed that you would definitely come to rescue your companions. Have you thought about it?" "Yes, thank you very much for what Mr. Solderlake said to me. I have decided to save my companions and give them freedom," Sieg said with a firm look. "Then let's go. In order to prevent the Black followers from obstructing us, I will accompany you." After saying that, he walked into Malnia Fortress from the side door. Yeah, I'll leave it to you." After that, Sieg and the androids followed Wuming in. However, speaking of which, is it really a good idea for me to walk into the enemy's base so openly? Wuming thought. After Jean wore the pendant Wuming gave her, she flew into the sky and went straight to the Sky Garden. However, during this process, a large number of dragon teeth soldiers with skeletal wings kept attacking Jean. Bang! Joan of Arc waved the unspread holy flag to disperse the last dragon tooth soldier nearby. Looking at the endless stream of dragon fang soldiers flying over, Jean couldn't help but be speechless. So many dragon teeth soldiers can't get through. Just when Jean was distressed, a revelation came. She saw the Red Master, a man in a priest's outfit, fighting with the Black Berserker in the nearby forest, and standing next to him was a man in a British green and brown literary costume. That's Red Team's Master and Caster. After seeing the revelation, Jean did not hesitate to turn and fly in the direction of the forest. Assassin Semiramis, who was controlling the fortress in the Sky Garden, saw that Jean did not hesitate to run in the direction of her master, and immediately contacted the master who was fighting with the Red Berserker in the forest. "Master, the ruler really did not hesitate to rush to your position." "Understood. Retreat, Caster," Yenfeng Shiro said without turning his head. Red Caster Shakespeare said with a regretful look. "Now is the time to be excited. Do you really want to retreat?" Although Caster said so, he never had the slightest intention to fight. He just kept writing things, including when Yenfeng Shiro was fighting. "Yes, retreat immediately." "Yes." Caster immediately disappeared in spirit form. Yenfeng Shiro took out 4 black keys and threw them in front of the Red Berserker Frankenstein. The black keys instantly became bigger, blocking Frankenstein's advance, leaving only Frankenstein's roar. After making sure that the Red Berserker couldn't catch up, Yenfeng Shiro ran back. At that moment, Jean was still far away from the forest. Just as Semiramis breathed a sigh of relief, she discovered the servant who came to attack the Sky Garden. "Oh, there is a horse that can fly." Semiramis sighed as he looked at the eagle that Astolfo was riding. But in fact, was it really good to call the eagle a horse? Immediately afterward, those dragon teeth soldiers with wings changed direction and went to attack the black rider Astolfo. "Whoa, what are these things so disgusting?" Astolfo, who was riding the eagle, shouted. Because Astolfo didn't want to do anything, He kept dodging the Dragonteeth soldiers and attacked from time to time. Then he activated his noble phantasm, the Declaration of Destruction, and defeated all the Dragonteeth soldiers. What? Semiramis was surprised. But she didn't panic. After all, her Sky Garden had more than one way to attack. Just when she wanted to activate her magic cannon, a meteor-like beam of light emerged from Myrenia's fortress, and the stars in the sky contributed their own light and gathered there. Then she found out that the Black Rider hurriedly flew there. At this moment, whether it was the Black Lancer Vlad III and the Red Lancer Karna who were fighting, the Black Berserker Frankenstein who was caught up in the forest because of the Red Caster's noble phantasm, the Red Caster Shakespeare who had retreated back to the Sky Garden, the Lion Jiejieli and the Red Saber Mordred who were late to the edge of the battlefield, the Black Archer Sharon and the Red Rider Achilles who were fighting with each other in another part of the forest, and the Red Archer Atlanta who was pulling the renegade Red Berserker Spartacus. All of them had different reactions. The Black Servant was shocked and quickly retreated to its own fortress, but the Red Servant did not chase after it. Because of some unknown reason, its body was abnormal, so it did not chase after it. Joan of Arc also came to a halt and looked at the incomparably gorgeous light beam. That's Sodric's noble phantasm. Whoa. I told you not to disturb the Holy Grail War. At that moment, Jean complained like a child, and then flew there. At that moment, Wu Ming, the originator of the meteor-like silver-white beam of light, was holding his noble phantasm, X-Silver, or Meteor Silver, facing the Black Caster and his puppets who came to capture Sieg. It's really troublesome, I'll blow you away. Black Caster Avisprin didn't seem to panic. It should be said that there was nothing that could make him panic, except for his own wish. If you want to stop me from fulfilling my wish, then try it, Sodric. X-Silver, because of the shout of his real name. The meteor silver that was constantly emitting starlight shone brightly, and as Wu Ming swung his sword, the attack containing the gathered starlight arrived. Boom. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.